and welcome back to Football Made Simple. Two European giants clashed at the Nou Camp as Koeman's Barcelona hosted Andrea Pirlo's Juventus. The winner would have topped the group, increasing their odds for a favourable draw next round, and all eyes were on the Messi vs Ronaldo battle. In the end, Pirlo's men romped to a victory 3-0 thanks to a double by Ronaldo and Weston McKennie. The XG indicated that in open play, their chance quality was roughly similar, with the penalties making the difference. But what tactics did both managers look to use? Let's take a look. And if you want even more content whilst helping to support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/footballmadesimple. You'll get early access to videos, exclusive videos, as well as access to the upcoming FMS video podcast. A quick reminder of the formations used by both sides, as seen on the OneFootball app. OneFootball will get you match updates, formation updates, as well as player and team stats, and so much more. And the best part is, you can get it absolutely free through the sponsored link in the description below. Let's firstly look at what Juventus looked to do in possession. In the first phase of play, Juventus looked to play out short to the centre-backs whenever possible. As to be expected, Barcelona's 4-2-3-1 on paper would shift to a 4-4-2, with Messi pushing up alongside Griezmann. This would naturally mean the front two would have to cover less horizontal distance when pressing. But at the same time, they were also 3 vs 2 down in this press, and Juventus looked to take full advantage of this often, using Danilo as the free man. He would often look to receive the ball and advance into the midfield to be an auxiliary pivot, whilst Cuadrado pushed high on the right, and generally, getting both wingbacks high and wide was a consistent pattern as they looked to stretch Barcelona's back four. And Danilo's positioning in the midfield was vital, as it gave Juventus' midfielders extra fluidity. Artur was the only one of the three who tended to hold his position, whilst Ramsey and McKennie had permission to roam. For the most part, McKennie would push out towards the right flank or into the right half space in order to support Cuadrado when he got onto the ball. And crucially, this shape often created space for the extra midfield runners, as the forwards would occupy the centre-backs whilst McKennie occupied the full-back. Ramsey was a willing runner throughout the 90, looking to make a run into the channel to get on the end of a potential ball over the top. And Juventus was structured in the attack, looking to overload the Barcelona back four. With the wingbacks high and 2 centre forwards, it could already look like a 4 vs 4. And with 1 or even 2 midfielders pushing high, it could morph into a front 6 at times. Naturally, this would cause Barcelona to defend extremely narrowly, freeing potential switches across the pitch. And once the ball did go wide, with Barca's fullback having to move narrow to assist with the central overload, the switch to the far side fullback could potentially be on. We see elements of this in McKennie's goal. When the ball is on the left, Morata, Ramsey, Ronaldo and McKennie are all high, and as a result, Alba has to come more central, freeing Cuadrado on the far side. The ball comes to McKennie, who then moves the ball out to Cuadrado. We see how both Ramsey and McKennie have permission to flood the box as they are both unmarked, and it's McKennie who finishes brilliantly. But as Juventus went ahead so early, Barcelona had the majority of the ball with 60%, so what did they look to do in possession? Generally from deep, they looked to play out, with the 2 centre-backs dropping alongside Ter Stegen and a single pivot ready to receive. It was hard for Juventus to adapt to this in the press, with their 2 forwards pressing the centre-backs and a midfielder high on the pivot. With Trincao and Pedri initially staying wide to pin the wing-backs deeper, Barcelona's full-backs were often the obvious outlets when Juventus' pivots were looking to cut off the midfield. Alternatively, when Juventus' wider midfielders moved out to cut out the wing-backs, Barcelona now had the spare man in midfield, who they could then look to easily find. Another important consideration is that Ter Stegen is great with his feet, so effectively an extra man in the build-up, meaning Juventus would have to push an extra midfielder high for a truly effective press. However, Barcelona could then drop either Messi or Griezmann into midfield to receive a chip ball and progress the play. And moving higher up the pitch, Juventus' defensive shape was adaptable. The default 5 at the back meant that they were susceptible to wide overloads as Barcelona had 2 men in the wide regions. The makeup of their back 5 easily allowed Cuadrado to push higher to become a right midfielder, so that in defense it looked more like a 4-4-2. However, Barcelona still looked to take advantage of this right-hand side, as constantly switching between a 4 and a 5 could leave space to exploit temporarily. We often saw Messi from these more central regions look to find Alba, who could combine with Pedri in the half space when Danilo was unsure whether to move to right back or remain at right centre back. They could subsequently look to maneuver crossing opportunities, with Messi often looking to get on the end of the cross. And generally, Barca also committed both of their fullbacks high, but as always, the creativity and goal threat was left to Messi almost exclusively, attempting 11 shots and completing 5 dribbles. However, Juventus were generally happy to defend extremely narrow, giving up the wide regions and being confident in dealing with the potential crosses. And with both fullbacks high, Barca were vulnerable to counter-attacks. Juventus' first outball was often to look for Morata, whilst Ronaldo pulled to the left into the space left behind by Dest. He would then look to receive the ball and drive infield. This is what leads to the first penalty. Dest is caught high up and Ronaldo moves into the left wing position. The first pass is to Cuadrado, whilst Morata's central means a defender can't confront Ronaldo. Ronaldo is found, attacks the centre-back and wins the penalty. Overall, this was a comfortable victory for Juventus once they went ahead, and more bad signs for Barcelona as they still find themselves being overly dependent on one man. But what did you make of this match? What other tactics did you notice? Drop it down in the comments below. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.